99.3 FM and K240EU Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
Thursday here on 1580 The Fanatic. You're listening to Beat the Book. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is our co-host, Dylan Cohen. He's our betting expert as well. We're broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. And today on the show, well, you know what it is. It's Thursday night football. That means we're going to be talking a lot of football today. And you're on the text line. We want you to help us talk some ball. 888-368-1580. We'd love to have you a part of the show. What bets do you plan on making tonight? That's what we always want to know from you. Where are you looking? Alvin Kamara and the Saints. Bo Nix, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. Going to be a good one. We're looking forward to it. But before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
We are powered by Sporttrade, and Sporttrade is the newest sports betting app here in Arizona. They had their soft launch last month. They are rocking and rolling now. There's going to be new markets getting added throughout the month. We've got NBA basketball around the corner. You will be able to place your bets on the NBA through Sporttrade. You'll be able to live bet them as well. Your bets will be accepted instantly. No spinny wheels. So make sure you search Sporttrade, download the app, get your account set up, use promo code 1580 to take advantage of the 10% cashback promotion for new signups. And Keon, we had a really exciting WNBA finals game yesterday. I'm still, trying to calm down from all the craziness. If you didn't happen to catch that game, it was, again, the most exciting thing that was on TV last night. Sabrina Ionescu made one of the most clutch three-pointers that I've ever seen in a finals environment to put her team up with just 1 second left, and the Liberty were able to steal Game 3 in Minnesota. Final score 80-77. And as far as the bets that I had put out yesterday goes, we did pretty well within the WNBA, and just about everything else, not so much.
Yeah, we had a weird day of baseball yesterday, so that's one of those things. And of course, if you did anything with those college football games yesterday, I'm sorry, but yeah, no, I just think that game was excellent. It was a brilliant game, and of course the clutch gene, Sabrina Ionescu. She just, I mean, you squint really hard. You see a little Steph Curry out there with the way that she can just pull it from anywhere on the floor, and that 28-foot game winner, unbelievable.
It was like a Damian Lillard distance, like a logo three. It wasn't that close to the 3-point line. I mean,
and she was fading away to her left too. I mean, it was an incredible shot and a way to just kind of add to an incredible series so far. It's been a really good series of basketball, and now the New York Liberty, one game away from being WNBA champions
and getting the job done. A couple of years ago, they had really started to put the pieces together of having, one of the more premier lineups within the WNBA. And then, it was like each year they're running into this roadblock that is the Las Vegas Aces, who, also similarly had a lot of talent, assembled, and they were finally able to overcome the Aces. And now it's looking like they are probably going to get the job done. Game 4 is tomorrow in Minnesota. That is going to be must-watch TV. There will definitely be some more bets to make on that matchup. So definitely keep your eyes open for those. And then, as Keon mentioned, the LA Dodgers got the job done yesterday in New York against the Mets. Final score 8-0. And I'm starting to have just a personal problem with betting on baseball because I can already tell you what's going to happen tonight. I am not recommending any bets to make on this game, but I've watched this play out from game 1 to game 2, and I know deep down that this is exactly how it's going to go. Everything that I was counting on happening yesterday, it will happen tonight. I'm not going to bet on it. I'm not going to put any bets on this game. Not touching it. Baseball is just all over the place. One day the Mets have it. This is exactly what you said the other day.
Yeah. They're the ultimate hot and cold team.
The bats are there and then the bats aren't there. And then the bats are there again and then they're not. So, being a sports betting expert, my expert recommendation is stay off of it. But
if you must, you can go to the 1580 The Fanatic website, go to the Beat the Book logo. It'll open up the Beat the Book blog, scroll down to yesterday's picks, and bet everything that the Mets were supposed to do yesterday today, because that's what happened to our dude Dylan after game 2. Game 1, none of those bets hit. Game 2, they all did, but we didn't bet them that day.
No, and I knew it, and you know what? I mean, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, they're going to do good things today. I'm not going to bet on them to do good things, but they're going to go out and do good things. And the Mets, they're going to rally and they're going to win. I'm not betting that. I'm not telling you to go out and bet that. I'm staying off of it. But
if I sit in this chair tomorrow and it played out exactly like that, I don't even know what I'm going to say. And I think we all know me well enough. I am not speechless very often.
It's going to make me very happy that this MLB season is very, very close to being over, and we'll have a much more reliable sport in the National Basketball Association.
When there's a trend happening in basketball, it just feels safer to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I just don't know baseball enough, that's fair. I watch a lot more basketball and a lot more football than I do baseball. But man, there are times you bet on baseball and just feel absolutely idiotic because there's a trend. You feel like you're being a little sharp, like, okay, this isn't priced very well. I think I could take advantage of this. And then it flat out does not happen. And then in your frustration, you don't follow up on it. And then it does, like 4 times after you decided you're done. I don't know why. Baseball's just like that.
Case in point, Walker Buehler had a phenomenal game yesterday that was not to be expected. So it's just it's things like that.
Like, he is one of the weaker guys in that pitching rotation. And that would be the game you'd go, okay, if the bats are going to get going for the Mets, this absolutely would be the game, except that none of that seems to matter. There's no rhyme or reason to when the Mets get hot and cold. They remind me of when did the Royals win the World Series? What year was that? Was that 14? That Royals team, it was a very similar team to me, where the bats just get
2015.
15.
They lost in 2014.
The bats just get hot for no reason, and then ice cold for the same no reason. And you're just sort of like, I don't know if this team can win a World Series, because I don't think they can string together enough games to win anything. But they somehow manage to win just enough games in every series that even though it's up and down and it's inconsistent and it's a little herky-jerky, they get it done. I don't know why they work that way, and I don't know why the Mets are like this now. They just are like that.
They just want it to be stressful. I thought that they wanted it to be easy. Who knows?
Cardiac Metropolitans.
And, as Keon mentioned, college football was not very kind yesterday. The 2 favored teams that we were counting on to cover the spread, they did not cover the spread. They did the exact opposite. They lost each respective game. Western Kentucky was able to defeat Sam Houston, and FIU was not able to beat UTEP. UTEP did manage to get a win. So if you do happen to check out the Beat the Book picks for today, you're going to notice that they look a little bit different than normal. Tried something new, haven't done this before. All 10 picks for today are within the Saints and Broncos Thursday night football matchup that is going to be broadcasted here on 1580 The Fanatic just after the Daily Blender. So make sure that you tune in for that as well if you're not going to be in front of a TV for that game. But we're going to just go with 10 picks within this game. We're not touching dirty college football or sketchy Major League Baseball playoffs. We're going to leave those alone.
And by dirty college football, I think there's a game involving Marshall, and I don't even remember who they're playing, and then Boston College and Virginia Tech, which is a more interesting game. But I just don't feel good about the ACC this year. I feel like when I watched ACC football, I don't know what I'm watching, in the sense of what is even the identity of this conference? I know what it is when I'm watching the Big Ten. I know what it is when I'm watching the SEC and the Big 12. These are very strong conferences that have good teams that are winning in very specific kinds of ways. And then there's the ACC. They're just all over the road. Is Clemson actually good? I have no idea. Why does Florida State suck so bad? Again, I have no idea. Boston College was really hot to start the year. They've kind of cooled down. Like, I just don't know what the ACC even is. Why the hell is Stanford there? It's just a very weird conference, and I don't like betting them. I'll just be honest.
Yeah, I would say college football to me, as of today, right now, it feels a lot like how we felt after week 2 in the NFL. And if you can remember how that felt, when you probably lost each one of your, parlays on various teams to win that day because we were getting record underdog victories, it did not feel good.
No, it did not.
Complete absence of any confidence whatsoever.
Yeah, like just a complete nonsensical season of college football. Quite frankly, the NFL too, but it's worse in college football. The Raven Kid, by the way, offering some Saints Broncos betting advice. So he says, a bet I've liked every single week for this Broncos team, and it has yet to burn me, is Bo Nix over on interceptions. The dude is not good, and the Saints have at least one interception every week so far this year. So it seems like a really good play. Raven Kid, that's a good enough bet. I might take my phone out during the commercial break and work on some things.
Definitely appreciate that, Raven Kid. I was very focused kind of on the other side of the quarterback matchup and what Spencer Rattler, might potentially do.
Yeah, I feel like there's a turnover in there. There's maybe an interception and or a sack fumble.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I definitely like that. I'm going to take a look at those numbers as well. For this particular Thursday night football game, Keon and I were talking about this before the show. It's just a very unique spot. There's a lot of different elements that are feeding into this game today that made, at least only picking within this game feel a lot more appealing than, trying to spread the love around and, finding winners and some of these other, more unpredictable sports. But just in terms of the storylines that are feeding into this game today, you've got Sean Payton, who is the head coach of the Denver Broncos. He is the former head coach of the New Orleans Saints. He, won a Super Bowl with the Saints. He's a total fixture, within New Orleans. This is his first time coming back ever since he left the organization.
You think they boo him when the Saints run out there? Because he did win them a Super Bowl on one hand, but on the other hand, he had this very sketchy retirement where he kind of forced his way out of a contract that everybody knew he wasn't retiring. He just did that so that he didn't have to finish out the deal in New Orleans anymore. And I wonder how the Saints fans feel more strongly. Like, do they feel more strongly about the Super Bowl, or do they feel more strongly about the way things ended?
I could see him getting kind of like a combination, but
or like the thing with Brady in New England where they boo him, where they cheer for him when he runs out onto the field, but once the game actually starts, they booed him every single time he touched the ball. Yeah.
It's going to be a blend, but it's going to be a blend to the point where you can't necessarily tell one way or the other. It's just going to sound like just noise, I don't think it's going to be like a very hardcore,
because how could you? The guy got you a Super Bowl, and it was the Katrina Super Bowl. Like they just got done recovering from Katrina, and then like here he goes and wins them the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know if you can really boo that guy.
Like, I'm trying to picture if the Cardinals would have pulled through and beat the Steelers way back when. I mean, Ken Whisenhunt would be like a god around here.
Yeah.
I don't think he could do anything wrong. He would just have perpetual respect.
Yeah, so there are some franchises that are just, they go through it all the time. And if you look at the franchise record of the Saints, it's still more losses than wins. But there's a Super Bowl in there, and Sean Payton is the reason why. Hefty Lefty, by the way, on the text line, notedly a Broncos fan, says, I'd like to apologize for the lack of first half offense you will see from the Broncos tonight. I don't know why they keep giving us primetime games. Nobody feels good after watching it. If it's any consolation to you, Hefty Lefty, I don't think the first half offense for the Saints is going to be good either. It's going to be a close game. I'm not going to promise that it's good, but it'll be close.
But then this is kind of the other major thing that's feeding into this outside of the Sean Payton return to New Orleans. It's what's going on with the Saints right now, particularly on the offense. Obviously Derek Carr is not playing. We're working with the second career start ever for Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler did play above expectations last week. However, that was in a massive loss.
And also he played above expectations for a half. He did come back down to earth in the second half. He did not look good. and to be expected.
So yeah, like above expectations is just kind of more Spencer Rattler in a vacuum, not like, he elevated the play of the team and they actually look like they've got potential to win. I mean, when you're looking at this compared to, the game from last week, he's now going up against a much better defense. This is a team that has a better passing defense, a team that has a better rushing defense. And then to top that off, he's missing his two best weapons in Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. So
missing Olave and Shaheed, and I'll make it worse. He's missing his left guard, Lucas Patrick. He's missing his right guard, Cesar Ruiz. Those are your starting guards. I am sorry. This is a terrible start for Spencer Rattler incoming. I mean, it's just absolutely horrific what is happening with the injuries on the offense of the Saints.
I know this is the harder element to try and kind of forecast how it is going to ultimately impact what we see on the field. But I've got to believe that the Broncos players, they see the situation for what it is. They know this is Sean Payton's first time coming back to the Saints. Maybe they play just a little bit harder than normal. They want to get their coach this win.
Get this win. Raven Kid on the text line again saying, not only is this the Sean Payton return game, but it's the Will Lutz return game, who Sean Payton went out of his way to trade for from his old team, the kicker Will Lutz, who will probably see a lot of work tonight because I don't think we're getting into the end zone very often today. Just a guess. Just a hunch.
And, we'll see how that plays out. First and foremost, the pick that I posted for today that, has a little bit of, explanation and context associated with it. That is for the Broncos to win the game on the money line. That's the way that I am betting, winner versus loser. And then as far as like over under goes, I'm going to check on the current line. So it's still sitting at 37.5. I really like kind of doing a little bit more conservative of an under. So instead of taking it at 37.5, I'm pushing it to 40 and playing the under on 40. That's actually a number that the Broncos have tended to go under on over the last 4 games. Then you pepper in all of the absences on the Saints offense. And where are the Saints going to get points here? Is Alvin Kamara really just going to shoulder all of the load?
If they score points, that's how it's happening. Like, I don't know how many they'll score. I don't know how many yards he'll get. My guess is probably not many, but Alvin Kamara is going to be the guy tonight. I mean, the offense was already kind of trending towards running through him, but no Olave and no Shaheed. It absolutely has to. There is nobody else there to make a play. Maybe you get some Spencer Rattler rushing yards, scrambling, some off schedule kind of stuff. But if you're just talking about straight up who is going to be playing well tonight, it's going to be Kamara, but like he's going up against a defense that's tough, an offensive line that can't really get that push for him. So he's not going to be, starting a lot of his runs in the second level. He's going to be starting behind the line of scrimmage. I think that it's going to be tough sledding for Alvin Kamara, but if the Saints do anything, it's going to be him. Like, I can't think of who else it would even be.
I have a opinion on sort of the mindset of the Saints right now and how they may be approaching this game. And I've shared this with you, before we got on. I'm just curious. And if you hear this and you feel very strongly about, this one way or the other, text us 888-368-1580. I just think the Saints are looking at this game and they're being realistic about it. And they know that the likelihood of them winning, given who's going to be on the field today, isn't very high. Therefore, that's why Spencer Rattler is starting instead of their other quarterback. I forgot his name. Haener. Is that
Jake Haener?
Jake Haener. So, with that being said, perhaps we don't see as much of Kamara once the game really gets out of hand, and perhaps they just go, "Hey, Spencer, we just want you to get reps, buddy. Just sling it, and we'll live with any of the results." Is this a potential reality of how the Saints might be approaching this game? Or are they going into it saying, no, we have a shot to win. Kamara's getting the ball every single time. That's the only chance we got.
The thing is also, like, I think they're going to use Kamara in the passing game too. So it's not like you're going to go out there and just sling it, but he is going to have to start pushing the ball down the field if they start to get behind in the game. But part of that is going to include Alvin Kamara because he also catches the football. And so, like, there are going to be screens for Kamara. Designed screens and also just check down throws where if there's nothing downfield, just get the ball to Alvin Kamara, let 41 do his thing. That's pretty much the hope that you've got going on here. I don't know if it's going to be reps so much as just when you're behind, you kind of have to throw it a lot.
Well, and that's certainly what I'm counting on there. One of the other bets to consider I had posted was for Spencer Rattler to get the over on his passing attempts. And I just simply don't really have confidence in the second half of what it takes to get passing yards. The people that are going to be catching the ball and trying to run for the yards after that or avoid getting tackled. So in this case, you can count on Spencer to try and throw it, especially if they're going to start off from being down. But whether or not he's going to get over or under on his actual passing yards, I tried to play that under last week. That got blown up almost by halftime. So that's where, gives me some pause this time around. But I think you can still count on the guy to at least try and throw the ball and make something happen. We've got some more picks on this. I think we gotta pay some bills right now, don't we?
We do. We're gonna get to the rest of the picks for this game. We're gonna get to some NFL games coming up around the corner. One last text on the text line from Hefty Lefty, the Broncos fan that's out there breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief. He says Riley Moss has a chance then, because without Surtain, Broncos defense got exposed last week. Yeah, sometimes when your lockdown corner is not a part of the action, it's a little bit easier for teams to move the ball on you. Surprise, surprise. However, Riley Moss, not guarding Chris Olave, not guarding Shaheed. Let's see. Who would he actually be covering in this particular game?
Here's who there's currently betting markets for as far as like receiving yards. So on the Saints, it is Alvin Kamara, Mason Tipton, Bub Means, Juwan Johnson, Cedric Wilson Jr., and Foster Moreau.
Gross. That's gross. And I guess Equanimous St. Brown he's there. He's there. I don't know what that means, but he's there. So that Hefty Lefty is the chance that your team has to do something tonight. We'll talk about that and a few other things coming up on the other side, right here on Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Kevin Kugler here from Westwood One. Join Ryan Harris and me for Thursday Night Football to start Week 7 with a matchup of two rookie quarterbacks. Dual threat signal caller Bo Nix and the 3-3 Denver Broncos are in New Orleans to face the 2-4 Saints and quarterback Spencer Rattler, who's coming off his NFL debut last week. Don't miss any of the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of the Pen, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch, because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, the Pen is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards, Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Sports betting apps are not created equal. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here to talk about the Sport Trade Advantage. With higher payouts, Sport Trade is the ultimate sports betting experience. Sport Trade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's changing in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, then Sport Trade is for you. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. And if you're an experienced bettor and prefer American odds, you'll get pricing closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110, coupled with instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. So download Sport Trade today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
Sport Trade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
All right, so there we were. cruising through the new open air zoo when I realized that the park was closing in like 15 minutes. That's when the afternoon took an exciting turn. Luckily, we were in my Nissan Rogue. With its powerful DC turbo engine, well, we had more than enough time to see all the animals. Whoa. And outrun a few.
Drive the Nissan Rogue. Now, Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000 MSRP. Shop at your local Nissan store or at nissanusa.com. 2024 Nissan Altima, Kicks, Leaf, Rogue, Sentra, and Versa. All prices are manufacturer's suggested retail price. Manufacturer's suggested retail price excludes destination and handling charges, tax, title, license, and options. Dealer sets actual prices.
Direct savings and client focus, the cornerstones of the Diamond Dave philosophy.
Hi, I'm Diamond Dave Cantor. My team and I at Desert Wholesale Diamond can be your trusted friends with an inside scoop on the diamond world.
Just like they are to thousands of people around the world.
And just like we have been for over 34 years.
At Diamond Dave's, it's all about the diamonds and the savings, not paying for high-end retail locations or the overhead of a mall.
You stand to save big time with our by appointment professional office approach combined with direct importing.
When you choose Diamond Dave's, you choose huge savings, top quality, and excellent service. Call, email, or message us for an in-person appointment.
Or sit back and relax for free FedEx shipping anywhere in the USA.
Call Diamond Dave at 480-397-2450. That's 480-397-2450. Or follow him on Instagram at Diamond Dave Cantor. That's at Diamond Dave, Kantor.
Now, you can be the guy that eventually gets bits and pieces of the latest news. Or you can get the whole story when it breaks. The NFL is always in season here.
That's how we do it.
Follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Or at 1580thefanatic.com.
Beat the book on 1580 The Fanatic. We're chugging along. We're talking about tonight's Thursday night football matchup, which, by the way, will be here on 1580 The Fanatic right after the Daily Blender, right after this show. So maybe stick around, hang out, put your feet up.
And Keon and I were just talking about this over the break. News broke about an hour ago, roughly. I didn't happen to catch this until now. Saints wide receiver and kick returner Rashid Shaheed is actually going to be out for the rest of the season. He had surgery on his meniscus today in Los Angeles. And once they were able to kind of go in and assess the damage, turns out that he is going to have a 4 to 6 month recovery timetable. So, obviously he was going to be out for this game tonight, but the
original diagnosis was, well, he's out 4 weeks. Turns out it's 4 weeks and then some.
And factoring that, going back to the game today, we also didn't really mention the role that Shaheed has had in being the leading kick returner for the Saints. I mean, this is someone that was an all-pro as a kick returner, and now they don't have that person available to leverage. And, this is kind of a funny thing that Keon pointed out, because, right off the cuff, I was like, oh, well, the kickoffs work so differently now. Maybe that's not that big of a deal. But, with the whole new way that they do kickoffs now, Keon, you were saying that the kickoff return yardage is actually increased from season to season.
Yeah, from last season to this season, the league average of kick return yards is up. So that is something that is more teams are choosing not to kick it out of the back of the end zone, because the team starts so far up the field that if there is a chance I could stop you at the 20, stop you at the 25, I'd rather do that than give you the ball at the 30. But there are so many teams that are taking advantage of that and finding these different strategies where they essentially are doing a running play from the kickoff. And so, it has what a running play has, where sometimes it can be incredibly exciting. Guy breaks free. He picks up 20 extra yards. And now the team's starting from the 40, sometimes even the 45. But it also has the downside of a running play, which is that it cannot be exciting sometimes. And I think we see a lot of those and assume nothing's changed. This is a bad look for the NFL. But actually, the return yards, it's made the special teams a bigger factor in the game again.
I'm almost wondering if that translates for the Saints to, obviously them using a lesser experienced person on those kick returns. And then, is that leading to possibly more turnovers, on special teams plays like that? It's pretty easy to, muff a catch, and then all of a sudden, the team that kicked it is now, getting the ball, very far down the field, or, just simply opportunities, to fumble, if you do happen to catch it, you're starting to make a run. I mean, anyone's vulnerable to that stuff, but there's a drop off when you're going from Rashid Shaheed to, I don't even know who their backup is for this.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that would be either. Let me see if they have it listed here. Shaheed looks like it's going to be Jamal Williams on kick returns for the Saints, and then they had Shaheed doing punt returns as well. That's going to be Cedric Wilson Jr. According to the depth chart. So that's Jamal Williams as your kick returner. You could probably do a whole lot worse there, but I don't know exactly what the book is out on Cedric Wilson Jr. As the punt returner, and we'll see how that affects this game as well, because guy who's a little less experienced doing that job or hasn't been doing it for a while. Next thing you know, you got a muffed punt, and we're trying to figure out how many possessions did you just lose there if by doing something like that. So that's a really interesting extra dynamic of the Shaheed injury and its impact on this game, which just makes it harder for the Saints to win.
So another reason to like the Broncos' chances there. I wanted to talk about Alvin Kamara for a second. He is a pretty compelling player in this game because, as we were talking about in the first segment, with all these people that are injured for the Saints, he is the, most talented offensive player that they're going to have on the field today. And he's had a pretty, dynamic season for the most part. He's been very reliable in the first 4 weeks or so of the NFL for, betting on his combined rushing and receiving yards. He was very regularly getting well over 100 combined. And then the last couple of games, he's actually started to stumble a bit. Now, I'll, kind of give him a little bit of slack here because his last 2 games were against the Kansas City Chiefs and the but in both of those matchups, he failed to get more than 66 combined rushing and receiving yards. So now, trying to kind of forecast how that's going to go in a game where Olave is not there, Shaheed is not there, he is the premier weapon. This Broncos rushing defense is one of the best in the league. I mean, certainly much better than the 2 that he just went up against, the last 2 weeks. I happened to play Alvin Kamara's under on combined rushing and receiving yards last week. That worked out really well. The line for him today, it's a little different depending on where you look. I saw it at 109.5 on FanDuel earlier. DraftKings has it at 107.5. And it just feels like odds makers are not accounting for, the level of defense that he's going to face today. And there's just too much of an emphasis on the fact that, those 2 wide receivers aren't there. I'm not sold that that's going to translate into Kamara's getting, 90% of the offense now, and just off sheer volume, he's going to hit that over.
Yeah, and just because that's just not how football works. Like, I think he is going to be like 90% of the offense, but that doesn't necessarily translate into I'm running into the teeth of the Broncos run defense, so I'm going to get those yards. I just don't feel that great about it. And that's when you have a player who is so obviously the point of attack, in some cases it works against him because now you're the Broncos. You really know you've just got to focus in on Kamara because you're afraid of Bub Means? Not really. You know what I mean? So that's part of it. And I think that the Broncos will have a game plan for if the Saints try to run this thing through Kamara, we're just going to take Kamara away. And maybe we try to let some of these other receivers and Spencer Rattler beat us. And we don't think they can.
And that's truthfully the way I'm feeling about what we're going to see a little bit later on, when this game kicks off. And, for Kamara, if the Saints do manage to score, I would imagine he's going to have a big part in that. Maybe it's something where they get into the red zone, they get to the 5-yard line, the 2-yard line, and then he can just punch it in. But outside of a scenario like that, it's just hard to imagine him doing enough to, get the over, with that line so high, just a bit above 100.
And it's kind of sucks too, just having, and again, they're going to try and find ways to put him in space, but it kind of sucks having a guy who is your best player, who is a running back. They're a little dependent on what that offensive line can do and what it can be. And you've got your guards injured. Like, that's just going to hamper a whole lot of things too. Like, if it was a healthy O-line, there'd be a better chance of Kamara going crazy. There isn't. And that's a problem.
Well, and Spencer Rattler took 5 sacks last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this pass rush that he's going to be facing today in Denver is a bit better than what he faced last week. So, if you're looking at, maybe trying to play Denver Broncos defense props, betting on various players to get sacks, it's not something that I had posted on the Beat the Book website, but it's definitely a play that I would endorse there. I do have Spencer Rattler to throw an interception. He did throw 2 last week against the Buccaneers. So seems like, there's going to be an opportunity for him to check that box off, so to speak. And I wanted to kind of jump back over to the Broncos here, just looking over, anytime touchdowns, who we think is going to be getting into the end zone. Naturally, this seemed like a pretty good spot for Javonte Williams. He is the most favored Bronco on an anytime touchdown at plus 145. And, that's a guy coming out of North Carolina. He is very much a threat the way Alvin Kamara is in, the rushing and receiving game. And it's, going to be likely that, assuming the Broncos do find themselves in the red zone, he's going to be one of the targets that Bo Nix is looking to connect with there.
Absolutely. When you look at what the Broncos are, what the Broncos want to do, they get to be incredibly efficient in the red zone, I think, in large part because now you're not asking Bo Nix to do something he's bad at, which is push the ball down the field. Now everything's right in front of him, and he can make very quick and easy decisions. Javonte Williams is one of the best in the league at breaking tackles. So in those short area situations, he's incredibly effective. And when you look at the Broncos, they are a bottom 5 offense in terms of their efficiency. But when they get into the red zone, that number skyrockets and they're like top 5 in the league in the red zone. So if they can find themselves inside of the 20, they score, but they just don't find themselves there that often.
It's such a weird kind of relationship with those stats, because I do remember us talking about I think it was the 49ers, and the 49ers have like one of the worst red zone offenses like in football, which is just strange for how successful of a team they generally are. Obviously at this point in the season, their record isn't really that reflective of how good most people think that, they are. So just kind of one of those weird NFL trends,
Yeah, like they're horrific in the red zone, but they are one of the most efficient teams overall. So even though they don't score as often as they should when they make it to the red zone, certainly not touchdowns, they get to the red zone so often that just on sheer volume, they wind up getting those numbers anyway, which is, yeah, I mean, the Niners are another one of those odd teams.
By the way, actually, I wanted to just shout this out too, just because this doesn't happen very often with the picks that I put out. Because everything that was posted today is coming from the same game, this Thursday night football game. Some of these plays that I've posted are going to be eligible for same game parlay promotions.
And by the way, before you get rolling here, I just want to address a text on the text line because Lost Toby said, take the over on Hill. I don't think he's playing today, Lost Toby. I don't think you should take the over on Taysom Hill. I don't believe he's playing. And I feel like it's worth mentioning because me and Dylan noticed something with some of these sports books, which is that a guy will just be injured and they'll still put him out there for people to bet on, even though like he's not going to play. Cook. Yeah. Like he's not going to play. Don't put that guy's name out there. Do not take the over on Taysom Hill. If he were playing, absolutely. But from what I understand, I don't believe that Taysom Hill is playing today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't even take his over. It's not listed. There's no market available for it. But I mean, if that does happen to come out, then yeah, that would change some things a little bit. That would give Spencer Rattler, someone more decent to throw the ball to.
It would give him at least one more human being with a pair of hands. Yeah, I mean, you'll take anybody at this point. It's the skeleton crew over there.
But just kind
of back to what you were saying.
Going back to what I was saying before. leverage those same game parlay promotions when you can. A lot of the time when I'm throwing out things that are, just kind of scattered amongst a whole different range of sports, it's not eligible for some of these promotions. But FanDuel had a 30% profit boost. I'm sure DraftKings has some sort of a boost available. FanDuel's also got a no sweat same game parlay. So, for example, under the favorite parlays, there's a 3-legger that I had posted that I had personally made it on DraftKings. You should be able to also create this on FanDuel, but it's 5-1 odds. It's Bo Nix over on passing yards, Cortland Sutton 40+ receiving yards, and a Javonte Williams anytime touchdown. So just don't forget to leverage those boosts because they will help you, get a better payout. And this is one of the rare times where what I put up there, there's multiple different options to be able to leverage that stuff.
So a lot, I believe all of the picks that Dylan put up, they're this game. So we'll talk a little bit more football on the other side. But before we go, Boozin' Raider on the text line says, what's the word with Jonathan Taylor? So I take it you either want to bet on him or you have him in fantasy football. The word on Jonathan Taylor, not great right now. He missed another practice today, which is a terrible sign. And on top of that, they feel like he's trending in the wrong direction. He was talking to the media. He sounded absolutely dejected about it. He said it sucks. Those were his words, not mine. And, if he doesn't practice Friday, just go ahead and put him away. The Friday practice is the one where if a guy doesn't practice Friday, that might as well be the nail in the coffin for that week.
Yeah, I just did a quick look up on it, and the expectation is that he's going to miss week 7, but you definitely have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. This reporting is very deceiving, and you'll have guys like Adam Schefter who typically have a very credible, reputation.
And Schefter's not lying. Schefter will say what the team wants him to say. That's the reason why he gets these scoops. It's not because he's just making up stuff. It's that teams know they can craft a narrative and give it to him, and he will say exactly what they told him to say. That's why they love Schefter. They'll go to him with the news that he gets before everybody else. So that you got to take it with a grain of salt for sure. Not because he's lying, but because the team might be lying, and he just says it uncritically, which is bad journalism in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there.
Whether he's knowingly involved in it or not, this is the next frontier of game planning, weaponization of the injury report and the injury reporting.
I think injury reporting more because that's not official. Like it's not the team's fault that you listened to Adam Schefter and you believed something that wasn't true. What he said, an anonymous source said it. That could have been anybody. Like that's where you wind up with this stuff, which is why you've got to be better with your journalism. But this is not a journalism 101 class, and I don't think I'm qualified to teach one because I haven't done real journalism in a while. Anyway, you're listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
In most countries of the world, Porte means door. United Porte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Porte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Porte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down. Now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game in a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now with 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's KASAI Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone. Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. 1, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com.
I'm Angela Gonzalez, reporting from Phoenix. We're talking with the community about Phoenix Police Department. Ma'am, what do you think?
Oh, I love them. They're our local heroes. We've had some problems around here with break-ins and people using drugs on the streets. The police work with our community to have a presence in our neighborhood and keep our streets safe.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Gracias a la Policía de Phoenix.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite. Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
This is Brent Musburger. Don't miss Betting Across America, Saturdays at 11 a.m. right here on Arizona Sports Betting Station, 1580 and 99.3. The Fanatic.
This being the primetime game on Thursday, if I'm 100% honest, we did not get lucky with this. This is going to be a very ugly football game, but there are some better ones coming up this weekend.
Much better ones.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the show, and I'm excited about a few of these matchups. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Well, there's 2 games in particular that I think we should be focusing on here. And quite frankly, these are the 2 best games that are going to be going on Sunday. And it's a matchup between 2 of the undefeated teams in the league. We've got the Lions taking on the Vikings in Minnesota. And then later on in the day, the Chiefs take on the 49ers in San Francisco. And I really like both of these spots because the team that I believe is going to win in each one is currently priced as an underdog. I'm not sure that that's going to actually remain the same come football Sunday. So this might be a play where you're going to need to get your bets in soon. And, if there's any last minute news or anything that comes out that impacts the line, or, if there's a lot of money going either way that drives the line one way or the other, you just got to kind of live with what happens there. But in the Lions and the Vikings right now, the Lions on the money line on FanDuel priced as a plus 110 underdog. And it's understandable. Vikings haven't lost yet, games in Minnesota, so naturally can understand why the Vikings would be coming in as the favorite. But Keon, I know this was one you were extremely excited for. What are you looking forward to the most in that one?
Yeah, I get excited about matchups the most. That's what I like, but usually they're player matchups. I worry about, which wide receiver is going against which corner, which left tackle has to go up against which edge rusher. This one, I like the coordinator matchups. Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, and Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. Absolutely, 2 of the most creative play callers in the sport. But then the other matchup as well, where you've got Kevin O'Connell, who is the head coach and play caller for the Vikings on their offense, going up against the defensive coordinator for the Lions, Aaron Glenn. And Aaron Glenn does some really interesting things when he's out there. And I think he has a little bit of a hurdle to overcome, obviously, because now you have to try and figure out how to replace the production of an Aiden Hutchinson. How do you do that? There were some things that they were doing on that defensive line where they were lining up their tackles very far inside so that Aiden Hutchinson could line up a little further outside and get that move outside where you have to respect the power, that speed rush. And then when the speed rush gets going, he hits you with that spin move coming back inside, and he's killing your quarterback. So how do you figure out how to replace that production on some level? You're not going to replace what he was doing all by itself, but just in terms of getting some of those sack numbers or getting some of those pressure numbers that he normally gives you, if you could get maybe 60% of that, I still think that that's a pretty good day for the Detroit Lions. So I'm really excited about what these 2 coordinators what these 4 coordinators are going to do against each other over the course of this game, because I just think that coaching matters a lot. And when you have coaches of this caliber, of this level, those games tend to be incredibly fun. And I like what the Lions do. Ben Johnson is going to be in his bag again. He does it every week. He's got trick plays that he's designed just for you. He did it for Dallas last week with the offensive linemen. They had that game against Dallas a couple years ago where, the lineman was supposed to be eligible. The referee said he wasn't. They lose the game on that. So what do? A bunch of trick plays involving linemen. Ben Johnson is that petty. I want to see what he's got for the Vikings.
Here's something I'm kind of wondering here. I'm just looking over the Vikings record right now, and Sam Darnold, and he's had a hell of a season so far. I can't help but wonder, like, isn't Sam Darnold just kind of due for like a Sam Darnold of the past kind of game? Like, if there's any team that's going to make Sam Darnold see the ghosts, isn't it going to be the Lions?
It could potentially be the Lions. And I want to clean up the text line here in just a second, but it could potentially be the Lions. But the thing with Darnold isn't like he's playing in this way that Sam Darnold has never played before. All the good stuff is kind of new to us, seeing that from Sam Darnold at this level. But the stupid stuff that he does, that's still happening. Like it's the Sam Darnold of old is not completely gone. There are dumb Sam Darnold throws where you just go, what the hell are you looking at, dude? Like that still happens, but there's more good, and there's so much more good, and they're explosive chunk plays that you almost forget that the bad stuff is still happening. So can the Lions just take that ceiling that Sam Darnold is hitting and just bring it down a little bit? Because the bad stuff is still very much there. Bat Flipper was saying on the text line, you said Villanova. I think you mean Virginia. Take the under on men's basketball for games 1. Their coach, Tony Bennett, is retiring. Yeah, we saw that. We actually tried to look for some lines during the break. They're not offering those just yet. So maybe they'll have adjusted that by the time we actually get to it.
It might be something you have to find on like an offshore book, at least like the regulated books. I wasn't finding anyone that had a prop yet on just a college basketball team's, expected win line, go over under. But I mean, in general, I absolutely agree with the sentiment there. I mean, that's a team that's losing their head coach 2 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah.
That's not going to pan out well.
That's not going to go well at all. Now, is the book going to be ahead of you, or are you going to be ahead of the book? That's the real question there. We got a text that says, winner, winner, chicken dinner from Pickle D. And Pickle D's got a parlay going tonight on these games. Broncos, 2.5 point spread. Javonte Williams, anytime touchdown scorer. Spencer Rattler, 150 plus yards, which is bold. Bo Nix, 175 plus yards, also bold. Bo Nix, one plus passing touchdown. Javonte Williams, 25 plus yards. Alvin Kamara, 50 plus yards. Bo Nix, 25 plus yards rushing. Cortland Sutton, 25 plus yards receiving, and Alvin Kamara, 25 plus yards receiving. That is all parlayed for Pickle D.
So that was 50 rushing yards from Kamara.
Yeah.
I think that's the one where I'm kind of like,
I don't know.
That one hits.
I sure hope so. Against the Spread says, good day, gentlemen. Forget about betting the pro game tonight. It's pointless to bet on these garbage teams. I'm watching some ACC action. I like Boston College to win. Plus 245 on the money line tonight versus Virginia Tech. Boston College has an offense that can break big plays, a solid O-line, a bend but don't break defense. Virginia Tech secondary is leaky and gives up big plays. Boston College to win is the play tonight. We appreciate that against the Spread, because I didn't want to touch that game at all.
If I had to pick a team in that one, I'd probably go Boston College. So I like that.
Yeah. CK says, yes, DC, Sam Darnold is going to Sam Darnold. He'll come back down to earth. He'll do enough so the Vikings have to pay him on a 2 or 3 year deal, but definitely coming back down to earth. And that's it for the show, you guys. Thanks for interacting. We love it. Good luck on your bets, fellas. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm Taylor Bisciotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. New Jets wide